Now, I wonder if you were in my position. A position since 5 years ago, 3 years ago, 1 year ago, or the start of 2023, or down to the mid-year break just 4 months ago, where I was a person who constantly before just procrastinated on work at school I didn't enjoy, didn't have a clear-cut goal, inconsistent drive, consistency, dedication, poor sleep schedule, stressed, lazy, clouded mind, took my time for granted, prioritized meaningless games all the time, and associated myself with people who do not push harder than what is expected for themselves or even have a purpose in their lives. Well, the truth is that was really me before July, for 6 months, 12 months, and since the rest of my life. But if you've known and you've seen the videos that I've uploaded on my channel, you know that I've changed drastically since then. And while I have little money in relation to my goals, since that month I've been dedicating all my time to advancing my career and ensure that that isn't something that I'm struggling with when I'm older or moving out. Now, if I were to put all this content in a video, I might as well turn this into an actual book. So I'm splitting this into a 4-part series. And no, this information doesn't tap only into entrepreneurship. It taps into living the best life you can. To be wise, aware, educated, become well-rounded, and be more fulfilled with a purpose in your life. This series will provide to you 41 actionable, mentality-oriented mindsets that I've solidified, adapted, and can point for certain that these mindsets helped me and will absolutely help you. Even better, if you can apply these mindsets and culminate a strong mind, just understand it takes time. So don't rush and be patient, and time will smoothen the lessons. And with that, let's begin. And don't worry, I will summarize the 10 mindsets at the end of the video so you can take a screenshot or do whatever you need to save it. So remember when I said about joining the real world in December? I joined the real world on its opening, and the first thing drilled into everyone's head, including mine from the campus, was this. The first mindset. Number 1, move with speed. And this likely won't be understood without elaboration. It doesn't mean to rush everything for the sake of looking fast. It means to optimize your movement and be efficient all the time. Once you get down the skill, activity of movement, always evaluate your speed and streamline your processes. This means you get more done in less time, you focus, learn to evaluate yourself, and constantly self-improve. Once you unlock this way of thinking, you learn to understand the concept of self-improvement, which is founded in being aware and always raising your standards. At the end of the day, staying focused and being productive is not about taking 12 hours to complete a task, but being able to do less than someone else and achieve more results in less time. Now, some of you might just be starting your journey as an entrepreneur, so this next mindset would definitely serve you very well. Number 2, taking accountability and not making excuses. It is easy to blame someone else or the world for your faults and mistakes, but guess what? It only takes power away from you and makes you complacent to moving forward instead of realizing you only have control on how you react to things. I've dealt with it too. I've had plenty of problems in my own life, and I just realized that I have to take accountability and suck it up and realize that I'm either going to sit on my ass or I'm going to be something. There are things I wished in my life didn't happen or happened differently, but how I reacted is ultimately what shaped me to who I am today, and I'm grateful because I wouldn't want it any other way. So if you are complaining or blaming other people for your mishaps, are you just going to complain and sit on your ass wishing for the perfect moment, or that you can't succeed because someone else has something else that you don't have? Or will you learn that that's reality? Everyone is given different gifts, and that you just need to take action and play with the cards that you are dealt. I know this is a hard pill to swallow, and you might find stress trying to swallow it. And so this is why you need to reshape your mind with this next mindset. Number 3, the idea of stress. You may have not acknowledged this, and that's totally fine. But start to be aware that anything you want in life, the career, the car, the house, the family, the children, all of these things will take diligent work, struggle, and stress to attain them. Stress comes with obtaining anything that is valuable in life. So embrace it. Don't run away from it. that is what procrastination is. But also that people don't realize that stress actually creeps up on you when you try to run away from it. So instead, understand that it is a part of life to getting anything you want. And if you're not willing to go through the work, hustle, struggle, and stress, those dreams and your desires will be the sacrifice. Additionally and personally, in my opinion, I also don't buy this stress burnout bullshit. Part of how I am able to go from not being able to focus on my work for an hour to going to 9 to 12 hours of interrupted workflow is that I do not buy into everyone else's beliefs and reaction to work. I fully believe and I've rationally concluded that stress is a part of life and that you will have nothing if you cannot take the good with the bad. The fourth mindset, number 4, never take your day for granted. Taking your day for granted robs your body's urgency to work today for tomorrow. Being able to tolerate delaying work and moving responsibilities tomorrow will be your downfall. And this is another thing that procrastination mainly stems from. The idea that you can do it later until you realize you can't. Like someone who finds out they have a certain amount of time left to live. Well, it's magical. Like this drive kicks in to accomplish and make the most of the time. And this mindset is really no different. Please understand that by the time you went to bed, hundreds of thousands of people just like you believed they would live today and they didn't. That is life. So get this in your head. No one knows where they are in line to death. If you're constantly delaying and making excuses, I'll tell you now, you're never going to make it to where you want to be. So be grateful. And if you are religious, pray and show gratitude to God, Allah, or any other else names you want to call them. There are so many blessings you have in life, and every single day you take it for granted. When I pray, I do not forget these things. I humble myself and I'm always grateful for everything that I have. The food on my table, the bed, the ability to take this opportunity, the ability to work and feel life and feel struggle at its fullest. I pray and I think about that and I'm grateful. Moving on. Number 5, achieving your best every day. When you truly value your time, pairing with the previous mindset as well as the next mindset I'll talk about, you start to move with more urgency. You start to even look at life like a video game, for example. Leveling up and getting the most EXP and equipment you can, advancing as far as you can go because you enjoy the process. Now, a common trap with this is people do this but beat themselves up when they don't meet their full potential every day. I've fallen for it too. You learn to avoid this by being gentle with yourself, especially when you are your only support. You are human. I am human. You will fail, and that is normal. But you need to pick yourself up, evaluate, adjust, and start moving. You will have off days. So compare yourself to yourself. Now the next mindset I recommend pairs again with the 5th mindset, which is number 6. And it's harsh, but it's true. You can die tomorrow. For me, it's kind of created a paranoia and helped me to think in second order consequences, just like in chess. The way I want you to use this is to focus on the present. As the 5th mindset I presented is asking of you, you can really die anytime. You are not an immortal human being, and by the time you sleep, over 100,000 people wouldn't have died. No one knows where they are in line to death, so make the most out of your day as if it was your last. I remember when I was driving my dad and my sister on a highway back home, I was super tired and driving 100 kilometers per hour, which is 62 miles per hour in America. And so what happened was my life literally flashed before my eyes. I fell asleep for 2 seconds, and by the time I was shook back awake, I was staring at the opposite side of the road and my dad pulled the wheel to the left. From that point onward, and gladly that I didn't collide into the car 100 meters ahead of me, I took my driving responsibility seriously, and genuinely after that, I sat in my room zoning out on how I literally could have killed myself and everyone in the car if there was just a car 100 meters or 75 meters a bit closer to the car. Take from my story and understand that you can die when you least expect it. And there are many ways to die. So be grateful that you're alive, because when you sleep, God is taking people away from this earth for every breath you take when you are asleep. Pretty tense, but that's a way to look at it. Moving on, mindset number 7. Live with integrity, honor, and fulfillment. This is more so a traditional view for the men that in today's society is not taught and is lacked a lot in most quote-unquote men. Listen, you have a duty to provide for the people you care about around you. Have honor in being strong. Place your integrity in doing the most you can for yourself and the people you love, and you will be fulfilled. Be moral, be ethical. Don't give in to degeneracy, and I'll say it in the best word I can think of. Satanic and devilish behavior that we see so prominently in the West. In the Western world, we literally normalize devaluing relationships. That you can just date anyone you just like with no standards. Just rack up your body count. Entertainment, that you can just indulge in fun, drinking, or pleasuring yourself. And for most guys, they will know exactly what I mean. Marriage, that if you don't have any more feelings, just divorce. That they're not the one. And I'll say it, that you can just fuck anyone you want. Play the get numbers game, Riz game, and stack your bodies with no respect to long-term goals or any considerations of having a strong family or children. Listen, modern society, specifically Western society, and I'm very tight on this, is very clearly fucked. And traditional values have only become more appealing because they stand in integrity, being honorable, and actually committing to fulfillments such as family, loyalty, and being respectful, that in my case have seen none of that from any of my so-called friends, classmates, or even classmates around me. It is quite honestly disgusting, and I genuinely am going to be one of those password bros. I'll be out. Sorry for the tangent, but this is something that is fundamental to your success if you want to start being valuable and living the life you want on your terms. If you want a fulfilled life, you need to chase something that is genuinely valuable, that sits in your heart, more than some nice car or some girl and she has a nice hourglass body or whatever. Moving on, mindset number 8. Have bigger reasons. Similar to the previous mindset, you just need to find a reason or purpose in bigger things than instant gratification, like fleeting pleasure in shows, one-night stands, or doing things that you quite frankly did nothing to earn. And I learned this a bit more down the line, but take my opinion into consideration when I say material possessions and numbers in your bank account aren't going to be enough of motivators. For me, the bigger reasons are to financially support, if not retired, my loved ones, give back to poverty-stricken communities and countries, to eventually be a good father for my children and my wife, to really build things that will outlive me. And I promise you this, and take this from me, that alone has motivated me more than any materialistic possession in my life. And I promise you this, and take this from me, that alone has motivated me more than any materialistic possession in my life. If I can drive a Lamborghini or be driven in a Rolls Royce, buy nice clothes, food, travel, and be able to enjoy the wonders and spoils that this life has to offer, I'll do it because I can. But at the end of the day, I don't give a shit, because it doesn't benefit for anyone but my own self-pleasure. And this goes back to being honorable, having integrity, and being fulfilled. I mean, just trying to understand myself. I've done so many personality tests, and my personality type came out as an INFJ. So take that as you will. You can look at this website called 16 Personalities, which I trust in learning about what I am like. I'll give you a moment to take a break before we move to the next mindset, because I've been speaking for a while now. So pause it for a couple minutes if you need before we wrap up with the last 2 mindsets of this segment. Alright, we're back. Let's get to the mindset number 7. Look at everything long term. And yet again, are you starting to see a pattern here? That this all intertwines together. This mindset works in harmony with not just taking your time for granted and having bigger reasons. When you want to dedicate to a big dream and large goals that are beyond your current capabilities, being able to evaluate long term the value of everything you do gets easier. You start to naturally optimize and gain a sense of urgency, but also develop focus and control. You start to structure your day and ensure you do not waste your time. That is what a routine is. Look at the value of everything you do and ask yourself, will this benefit me long term in the future, or is it just a fleeting activity? And don't get me wrong, you can have your fun. You can go out and drink. You can go out and, Go to that nice restaurant. You can go out on dates, but make sure that you've earned the right to do it. For me, working out, learning about finance, or pushing myself in business are things that will constantly, and I know will pay dividends to me in the future. Whatever long-term goals you have, those will dictate your actions, leading to creating the life you will live and be remembered for. And while I may not want a big legacy necessarily, I see it like this. What will you leave behind this earth when you go? Will you take and only serve yourself, or will you bless everyone on your table? That's your choice to make. And lastly, the final mindset for this segment is to number 10, look at your circle and influences. You may have heard this before, but the people around you will dictate who you will be. The people around you will influence you to similar interests and values. So pick your friends and your SOs wisely. Have standards. Have something you look for. Otherwise, you are just a feather in the wind. I understand people out there in my position where they can't really distance themselves from people, whether they be friends or family. The solution is simple, a bit annoying and will test your patience, but this is simply what I do. I keep to myself and I tolerate it. I like to think I distance myself into the background and be reserved in what I say, so when I'm around people, I'm just quiet and taciturn. That's just how I keep my energy to myself. Sometimes you have to tolerate difficult situations, but for me, as long as you are working towards independence and your own space, whether that be an apartment or parting ways in the future, you can always look forward to that. Don't try and get into arguments. If you can discern who isn't ready to understand a different perspective, then it isn't worth the stress or talk. That's going to be a whole nother topic for another day that I'll cover in a separate video, but right now, pick your energy and time with people wisely. And if you're around people you really can't distance yourself from, don't be bitter, don't be rude. Be mature. Don't unnecessarily burn bridges, but be tolerant, patient, and respectful. And that's it. These are the 10 mindsets for this first segment, which will significantly benefit to you as it has for me. Just to remind you, I have applied these in my life already. I'm not just someone who talks and doesn't walk the talk. I believe wholeheartedly in every single one of these mindsets that I'll give you in this series. And so, take these valuable mindsets and apply them into your thinking, and your entire life will drastically improve. This is just one of 4 video segments, so I hope from this video you understand and can gauge how serious I am about putting value on the table within the entrepreneurship space. And so, I'll see you on the second segment.